Alright, the video is my ramp start procedure for Falcon BMS 4.33. Info is current as of today, 11 March 2016. Not technically the book way to start up the engine, but this is the way I start it. Seems to be fairly straightforward and time-saving procedure. Everything gets up to speed and going in an efficient manner. So here we go. I come over to the battery switch, 2 clicks on, fuel switch to normal, up front control switch to UFC. I get the lights, switches on, even though the lights don't come on even with the battery on until the engine generator is up to speed. But as soon as the engine generator comes up to speed, the lights will be on. And the next thing is the JFS switch. You have to click right click on this switch, otherwise you'll foobar the engine start. You must click a right click, otherwise it'll go to start one and you're screwed. Alright, so while that's going, I come over and hidden behind this armrest is the air source knob. I left click on that. And while the engine's spooling up, I come over and I close the canopy. Makes it a lot quieter inside, especially when there's airplanes next to you cranking up. So now we're looking for 22% over here on the RPM gauge. So when we get about that, I come over and I push the throttle up, and right around in this area on the throttle handle itself, I left click on that and then pull the throttle to idle, and that should be enough to start the start sequence. So now it's got fuel and ignition, and you got a light off. So while that's lighting off, I want to get the INS up to speed, because that takes the longest to get going. So after the INS, I come up and hit the hardpoint power switches, and these 4 switches on the top row. This one over here is the terrain switch. You've got to double click that one to get it all the way forward. And while that's starting up, I do nothing. I come down here once this page is displayed, and I hit weapon twice, come over and hit DTE, and then load. While it's loading, I don't hit any switches. Okay, my technique is to hit the center map position. Then I come over here and turn up the HUD fonts, and I can see I've got all these fault codes. I know there's a way in here to hit go to the test page in the MFD, and then up here you can hit a clear button and it'll clear all these faults for you. But the easiest way to do it, I found, is just to hit the fault acknowledgement switch here. So after the engine start, I come up and do some cleanup items. I get the ECM going. I come and get the COM radio on both, and the COM 1 and COM 2 volumes up. Get the missile and threat warning volume knobs up, and arm the seat. There's 7 switches over here on the ECM panel, jammer panel. I get all those going and turn the power on. Then I keep the flow goes up here to get the parking brake set. You won't be able to set the parking brake with a battery switch on until after engine start, when you get hydraulics flowing. So that's why we do it now. So if I took my chocks out, the airplane's not going to start rolling. So from this switch, I just keep heading up here to the whatever this thing is here. Don't know, remember offhand. Alrighty. So next thing I do is I come over and set up my COM panel. If I'm going to be on tower 15 in UHF 6 for airborne strike frequency, I'll put the strike frequency in first by hitting COM 1, 6, and then enter. And then I'll hit COM 1 again, and I'll put in 1.5, enter. And so now I've got COM 1 on UHF, which is tower, and after I'm airborne, I can see that 6 is my standby. So all I have to do once I get airborne is hit COM and then enter, and it'll be up on 6. I'll show you that. So that's, now you're ready to talk on 6 after takeoff. So to put it back on 15, we just hit COM, enter, and it just flip-flops between the active and the standby frequency. I can see I'm going to steer point 1 here. I don't want to go there, so I bump the rocker up to steer point 2. I like to hit the sequence switch, shows me the winds here once I'm airborne. And I like flying with the drift cutout, so I have all the HUD information centered in the HUD, and it's not slewed off to one side. Alright, if I have FLIR and TFR, which I do in this case, I turn those on, both the FLIR and the TFR OSB 4, and get those going. The FLIR takes like 15 minutes to cool down, and the TFR takes about 3 minutes. But I'm not going to use the FLIR for the takeoff anyway, but it's nice to have it on right after takeoff so I can take advantage of the view through the HUD. And if I want to see that view through the HUD, I have to come up here and turn up the brightness on the FLIR with this lower thumb wheel. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Alright, so back to FCR. And it's timed out. The FCR is timed out, so I hit standby. My technique is to go to the air-to-air radar, be in TWS and continuous, so that I'll be able to see my wingman and other flight members in the same package on the HSD. Now they're not going to show up until the INS is aligned, so I'm not going to do anything with that now. I go down to 5 mile range on the radar, so that right after takeoff, if I'm number 2, 3, or 4, I can see the my wingman out in front of me, and I can get a radar lock in TWS and get lots of information on their airspeed and altitude and heading and so forth, right on this top line of the MFD. Alright, the 4-minute align is up, so I come over and I make sure I left click on this knob to take it from norm to nav. And after that, I will call for the altimeter setting, and that's TT on the keyboard, and then 1 for QNH. Alright, 0980. Are you kidding me? Let me do that again. Alright, 090. So putting the mouse on this little knob here in the lower left corner of the altimeter and using the mouse is an easy way to scroll up the QNH altimeter setting. I have hectopascals is what I use, or millibars. You may be using inches of mercury and get an altimeter like 2992 or something, but that's how you set it here. And that's about it. I'm up and running at this point. I've got the comm frequency set up. I can talk to, well, actually on Victor 2, I would put in the flight frequency here. So comm 2.1, let's say it was the agreed upon flight frequency, and then enter. So now I can talk to my wingman on VHF and hear tower on UHF. So that's pretty much it for the engine start. That's how quick and simple it is. And I'm going to end the video here. There's a lot of other housekeeping things I could do, but I'm not going to talk about those right now. So I hope you got something out of it, and have a Falcon day.